Hi, my name is Danielle Hull, and this is my presentation on the overrepresentation of children of color in special education, what teachers should know, and what they can do. Students with disabilities, students of color, and all students have a right to a full and comprehensive education just like their peers. Identifying students with disabilities is crucial to getting them these services. However, it has been a growing concern in the field of education that children of poverty and children of color are disproportionately identified for special education. Why is this a problem? Well, it's discriminatory practice, for one. When children are incorrectly assigned a disability label as a result of cultural, racial, ethnic, linguistic differences, their rights under the Equal Protection Clause are violated. This law requires that children, regardless of race, ethnicity, and gender, have protection from discrimination, which includes protection from being labeled with a disability as a result of cultural or racial bias, ignorance, or insensitivity. These labels can follow students their whole lives, and if they are inaccurate, it can impact a child's right to reach their full potential. In addition, this overwhelms special education's resources and teachers, in addition to causing children to miss out on important general education opportunities for learning. What can we as teachers do? Well, culturally responsive pedagogy, differentiating and implementing scaffolding strategies, creating intervention plans, and consulting a student support team for further intervention and support are steps that we can take in that order in order to address concerns. Get to know your students and incorporate their culture into the classroom and into activities. I like to learn from my students and have them teach the other students what they know. It helps them feel like experts in the class, and it helps them to feel empowered. If a student is not growing in response to teaching practices, change the teaching practices. Meet children where they are. Come up with a more formal intervention plan with the child and the parents if there is still no progress. If scaffolding lessons and differentiating curricula is still ineffective, then consult with the student support team at your school. If one doesn't exist, consult with the SPED team and the principal. Here are some examples of things that you can do in order to practice culturally responsive teaching. Some of the characteristics of culturally responsive teaching are positive perspectives on parents and families. Find something to love about your families. Intentionally frame a positive perspective on your families and students. Be willing to create relationships and rapport. Communicate high expectations. Be clear in communication. If you find yourself asking students questions when really you are giving directions, students can become confused. Notice your own language and how you use it, in addition to noticing your own body language. Learn within the context of culture. Incorporate your students' cultures into the classroom. Other things that you can do include student-centered instruction, culturally mediated instruction, reshaping the curriculum, and using yourself as a facilitator, letting children take the lead, especially in discussions, and letting them formulate their own questions. Be willing to let them be uncomfortable and yourself be uncomfortable, but to support them gently and ethically. Differentiation and scaffolding strategies. Break tasks down to children's current skill level. Use I do, we do, you do. Chunk learning target into smaller pieces. Use formative assessment often to inform teaching and progression. Use small group interventions, peer-to-peer support. The other students in the classroom, as well as the students of concern, are all teachers in their own right. Let them be. Discover how your students express their knowledge. Maybe they need to express it verbally or through action instead of through written work, especially in younger grades. Become informed. Familiarize yourself with the systemic oppression of children of color in education that occurs in our culture. Attend anti-bias trainings, social justice conferences. Read and listen with intent to learn from others' perspectives. Here are some books I recommend. The Silenced Dialogue, Power and Pedagogy in Educating Other People's Children by Lisa Delpit, and The Guide for White Women Who Teach Black Boys by Eddie Moore Jr., Allison Michael, and Marguerite W. Pennick Parks. Both of these books discuss the culture of power. The culture of power describes those who are in charge, make the rules, those with privilege, and those outside of it, as well as those who are indoctrinated into it. While we like to think of our society as a fair nation, where everyone gets a chance, there are systemic barriers in place that have their roots in slavery and segregation. As a teacher and a white educated woman, I am a member of this culture of power, and in order to help my students survive and thrive in this culture, I need to be aware of it and to work to get them empowered to thrive and find their power in this society. Check your bias. I took a survey at this website right here. The survey is through Harvard University, and the link above will take you there. The survey was so interesting, well worth the time. It was about 20-30 minutes. I personally wanted to provide an opportunity for you all to look into your own mental models beyond what I would be capable of creating myself. If you are unable to take the time, the next slide has some personal inventory questions for you to ask yourselves. Ultimately, self-reflection and seeking out opportunities to address existing mental models that may impact your students negatively is crucial for individual teachers to avoid inappropriately labeling students. This is my list of personal inquiry questions. I'll take a moment and I'll just be quiet while you read them to yourself. It is so important to look at ourselves before we start making judgments about the world around us. Really looking at ourselves is crucial. We can be the change. It always starts with ourselves. Thank you. Thank you for participating with your attention and time. Thanks for your incredible work as educators and students. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's simply not. While the Lorax spoke for the trees, I think the quote is fitting for us as educators as well. We are tending the garden of the minds and hearts of children. Let us do all we can to help each child thrive in the landscape of today and to make it better for tomorrow. Thank you.